Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, one of the Career Readiness Consultants with the Kent Intermediate School District, and I'm delighted to have Andrea Ziebarth with me today. She is a welder, and we're going to hear more about her career and how she got into it and some insights to share with you. So thanks for being here, Andrea.
Yeah, of course.
So when I do career chats, young people love to hear what people were thinking back in high school, and you're just out of high school by just a few years. And so it'll be fun to have someone who's just one step ahead of some of the students that we'll be, sharing this with. Tell us about when you were 16 or 17 in high school. Did you have it all figured out, Andrea? What were you thinking about doing at that time?
Oh gosh, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was clueless. I was just gonna go to college, just to go to college, spend a bunch of money to basically waste it because I had no idea. So I was just on a dead end road, no clue, just going through the motions at that point.
So what kind of shifted? How did you end up making a decision to go start a welding program after high school? Tell us your thought process.
So my senior year, I kind of took the easy way and just took a bunch of easy classes. And then I kind of ran out of classes, like easy classes. And then so Coopersville offers a bunch of like they have metals and plastic and woods classes. And my brother did the metals, which is welding, you learn about the metal and stuff. So I was like, hey, why not? I'll give it a shot. I have one semester left. So I did it and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I never got to actually weld, but just that environment I really liked, the hands-on. So just the trying it out for even a semester is a really good choice.
And I love that you didn't really have a plan and you thought, hey, I'm just going to try something new. So what an encouragement to young people who are watching this, just to try stuff. Because again, you don't know what you don't know, right? You had
Yeah.
no idea you'd like it. So when you said that environment of hands-on, what else did you feel about it? Did you like that you were able to move around and you already knew, like, I don't want to be sitting at a desk someday? What were some
Yeah.
of the things that you already knew what you didn't want or that you did want?
So I don't want to be sitting at a desk all day. I don't want a job where I'm working in freezing cold temperatures or when it's 100 degrees outside, I'm the one that's out there. So I kind of knew that. And then when you're welding, you're inside a shop. So you're always moving around, walking on your feet. And I like that instead of sitting down all day at a desk, staring at a computer. So just that right there, I loved it. And then get to move with your hands and like do things with your hands constantly. Like your brain's always going, but it's easy work. So it's not, my brain is just so dead tired at the end of the day. It's just way to keep you moving and working.
So that environment of being hands-on, moving around, using your brain was very attractive to you. And you're like, this is fitting me. There's something about this that I like. So you were in this class and it was one semester, it sounds like. And
Mhm.
so then what was your next step after that?
So after that, I my school counselor sent me an email. Well, all the seniors an email to. She just always sends us emails to help give us leads or whatever. And one of the emails was GRCC's job training, which is just 6 months or 18 weeks, depending on which specific program. But you do that and then you learn all of the basics of everything. So I looked into that and I thought, this is perfect. It's cheaper than regular college, but you're still learning all of the same stuff practically in a short amount of time. 6 months compared to 2 years. Why would I pick 2 years when I can do 6 months? So that led me to my next step.
That's fantastic. So when you saw that flyer come through, that information through your email, was it the welding program specifically? Did they have other programs that also piqued your interest, or was it just something that kind of just spoke to you?
They have other programs, but I saw the welding one and that one really stuck out to me. I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I really like this class. And I was still kind of like, I like this, but do I want to do it? So then I was like, hey, they have welding. Even if I don't like it, it's only 6 months. I'm not wasting 2 years. It's, 6 months, and it's still a skilled trade I can do and learn. So
I love that attitude. So you sign up for this short-term training, which you're super excited about because you're not ready to commit to something long-term and you don't want to waste your money for something that you're not even sure you want to do.
mhm.
What was that first day like? What was your class like when you first showed up?
Oh my gosh, I was so nervous. It was like 10 o'clock at night the night before. I took my dog for a walk just because I could not sit down. Just I was so nervous just because it was so new and I was going way out of my comfort zone and I was just nervous. But then I get to class, I show up, so easy. I mean, the instructor was so nice. No one else there, they didn't know how to weld. They've never welded before. So I fit right in, you know. And then the instructor was just, ask your questions. I'm here to help you. I know probably none of you guys have ever welded, so that's why you're here. You're here to learn. And they just totally put me at ease and made me feel so much better about it all.
And I noticed the vocabulary you used that the instructor said, I know you guys haven't probably ever done this before. Were you the only girl in that class or were there some other girls too?
I was actually lucky in the class I signed up for, there was one other girl, but otherwise the other classes had 0 girls. So I was very happy that, just we both signed up at the same time, but so that was really nice.
So out of a class of about how many were you the only two? How many were in your class?
There was they only do a few people in like a class, which is another reason why I really liked it. So there was, I think, 6 kids. It was like 6 or 7 that started at the same time I did, but they do like sections. So I think it's like 6 week or something, then a new class will start. So just in the 6, like the time I started, there was only about 6 of us.
So knowing that it was a small class was something that really helped your nerves, it sounds like, that your teacher was able to give you some pretty personalized attention versus
Yes.
if you were a class of 40 and there were only 2 of you girls, that might have been a different feeling. Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really nice about the GRCC job training is they have a limit of how many kids will go into the class, so you're able to get that help and just really personalize, and they'll sit with you and help you, and then they're not worried about, oh, I got 30 other kids I got to worry about. So that's really nice.
That's great. So you get there, you start, the teacher's awesome, you have another girl to have a friend, but it sounds like a small class. When you actually started doing some of the welding, did it come pretty naturally or did you have to kind of do some self-talk like, hey, I'm new, it's going to take a little time to get ready? Tell us how your experience was there at the beginning.
I'd say the first day or two, I was kind of like, it's okay, like take your time. You might not get it the first shot. But honestly, welding isn't that hard. I think people just get scared by the noise and the light and oh, you got to wear this big helmet. But really, it's not that hard. It took me, so you do every kind of welding you can at school, and it took me about a day to really get it, and then you practice. You have 8 hours of your day to just sit there and practice and practice. So I mean, you get better, but after that like first day of trying the new type of welding, it was pretty easy.
Now I do have to ask you because sometimes when we have a natural talent, we might take it for granted. Did everyone else in the class seem to be catching it as quickly as you, or do you think maybe that's one of your special things?
I'd say for the most part, kids were able to get it down pretty good. There was a few kids that kind of struggled. You could just see their weld. You're like, those aren't the greatest. But then for the most part, you're able to get a good weld. And sometimes one weld might be better than the other. I mean, but that also just happens. So yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm glad it kind of clicked with you. And so you went through, was it 6 weeks then total training?
It was 18 weeks
18 weeks.
total.
So tell us more. You got to practice welds, it sounds like, for 8 hours a day. Were there other components of this training that you'd want young people to know about of why it was such a good fit for you?
Um, I mean, really, all you did was you welded for, you show up and you weld. And let's see, so you start out with the gas welding, the oxyacetylene. You do that, and then you go to stick welding, then MIG welding, and then TIG welding, and I think there's another one in there, if I remember correctly. So 5 or 6 different types of welding, and you work your way through it all. And I mean, so every day, like after I guess every couple, like 2 weeks, then you're on to the next one, the next type of welding. So you don't get sick of it or tired. Then you're moving on, you're moving up, you're getting better at it as you go. So it's just really nice to have that, and then it makes you feel better when you're able to just keep going.
No, it sounds great. Like you said, there's different levels. You're kind of developing your welding skills and you're learning different types of welds. So that 18 weeks gives you time to master, um, like you said, 5 to 6 different kinds of welding.
Mhm.
So you finish out your welding program. Is this a job that's in demand where their employers knocking at your door, or was it hard to find a job? Tell us that transition for young people.
It was not hard at all. I signed up for emails to get emails whenever there was a job opening with anything related to welding. Like that was my keyword of search. I got, I swear, probably 20 emails a day. I ended up unsubscribing because I was so annoyed by it. But no, it is not hard at all. I really only applied to a couple places that I really wanted to work at because I was like, if they really want me, like I'll be able to get in really easily. So I applied just to a couple, like I said, and then DeWise Manufacturing is actually where I ended up. And um, they, I applied, heard about a week later, had an interview another week later, and got the job.
There you are, working full time, supporting yourself, able to move out into your own apartment, right?
Yep, correct.
Now, how old are you, Andrea?
I'm 19.
Yeah, I want young people to know that this 6 month or this 18-week training led her to be able to support herself in her own apartment at 19 years old. I think that's fantastic.
Yep.
And did you use Indeed.com? Is that the place that you were using that welding keyword? Is that the resume or the job search software that you were using? Indeed?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was like one of the main ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, you got so many potentials that you had to shut it off. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start working. When you got there to your actual job, did you have those same butterflies? Did you have to take your dog for a walk again the night before?
Oh yeah, I was so nervous. I did not take my dog for a walk this time, but I was probably I was like more nervous, but also calm at the same time because I was like, look what happened at school. You showed up and everything was fine, you did great. And then, I showed up to work and it was just like school. I don't know why I was so nervous or anxious because it went great.
And it
So,
sounds like your training really gave you the confidence because you had so much time to practice that you knew your stuff, and so you were
yes,
heading into yeah.
I trusted myself too and my ability to be able to weld and do all that.
So I'm curious. Again, you had two of you young women in your class. When you got to DeWice, is that considered kind of an environment that has a lot of men? Were they surprised to see a young woman in this type of role, or what was your employer's reaction?
So, in my department at DeWise, there's one other woman. I got lucky with that too. She's older in her 40s, I believe. So I'm one of the younger ones, definitely. And there's, I think, total out of the whole shop, maybe like 10 girls, 10 women out of it all. But really, I mean, they don't treat you any differently. I thought that the men would, or, oh, she's a girl, she can't do it. But really, I mean, not at all. If anything, they're a little bit more helpful and they're definitely nicer to you and they're not so mean. So that's nice.
So you haven't gotten teased too much like normal rookies sometimes get harassed quite a bit, but you haven't had to endure that, it sounds like.
Not at all. If anything, they really like me because I'm a better worker than 90% of them.
I love it. Yeah, help
So.
young people watching this know what you mean by saying you're a good worker. What are you showing up doing every day, Andrea, that sets you
You
apart?
show up on time, good attitude, you do your work and you do it right, or at least good, try, ask your questions, and yeah, they'll help you and they'll train you and teach you, but you just got to show up and be there.
Yeah, we hear that all the time from employers, that it's that work ethic that sometimes is missing, and the things that you just articulated are key. And again, you're going to be well liked and valued by your employer because you are showing up with all those great things. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know, how long have you been welding now, would you say?
I started school in March of 2020, so half a year or
Yeah,
almost a year.
almost a year. Yeah, by the time March comes around, which isn't too far from now. Do you see yourself sticking with it for a while, or are you already noticing other things there that you might like to try, or have other interests come along your way? Or are you good for a while?
I really like it. I do see myself staying. So at DeWise, I'm actually a robot operator. It like the robot weld. So I do all that. But they're also gonna get me certified, not certified, but they'll do the training so I'm also able to do like actual welding jobs on top of the robot, like the robotic part of it all. So they're training me to I walked in knowing how to weld, and now they're training me to do all the robotics part of it and learning all of that. So I really like that, and then I can take that info with me and either go somewhere else or just build up at DeWise from that.
Yeah, I think that's so important for young people to hear, Andrea, is that you got your base knowledge through that 18-week program and you got into an employer, and now they're going to train you to the next level. And I think that
Mhm.
happens across many industries. I know nursing, you get your 4-year degree, but it's really a 6-month training in the department that you get hired in. So just to help young people understand, you don't have to know it all, right? When you
Mm-mm.
graduate, tell us some of those things that you know, man, I've already learned this XYZ since I got here that I didn't learn in school. What are some of those things that you've already picked up in that year that you've been working at DeWise?
So, I didn't know like anything about the robots or how to run it, how to move it or anything. And from day one, they're telling you how to work it. They go through a training with it all. And now I'm able to set up a job by myself, walk through it, you know, not like fix the robot, but tell where the robot where to go if it's in going to the wrong position. And I don't have to wait for my team lead to, help me. I can do that all by myself. And if you would have asked me if I was doing this 5 months ago, I would have been like, "You're crazy. I'm not running a robot."
That's so fantastic. And I see your big smile. You obviously enjoy your work.
I do. I really do enjoy it. The worst part of my day is getting up because I wake up at 4 in the morning, and that's the worst part is just getting out of bed. But I mean, once you get there and you're working, and it goes by pretty fast. So
So tell me about that 4 o'clock. Are you starting like at 5 in the morning, or what? Like, what
mhm.
is your shift?
I work from 5 to 3, so 10 hours a day. But I actually have the option of getting Fridays off. So I get my 40 hours Monday to Thursday, and I can work Friday to get overtime, or I can sleep in if I want to. So, some weeks I'm just like, nope, I'm tired. I'm going to stay home. And then other times I'm like, I can work. It was a pretty good week. So, I take that into account. I don't want to overwork myself, even though I'm young. I hear my dad all the time, "You're young. This is the time to work. You need to work those Fridays." I was like, I don't want to overdo it and be tired, in 2 years of this all and want to retire at 22.
I love the self-care. I think that's such a
Yes.
great thing to hear in a young professional in your field, that you're already being aware of life family balance, which is a really
Mhm.
important value. Um, Part of what I'm just excited to talk to you too, Andrea, is there's a little shortage of women in this kind of field. What would you like other girls or women to know about your field and why they should consider it?
They should consider it because really it's not hard. Like the work itself is not hard at all. I don't know why more women don't. Um, there's really, I really like don't. I mean, when I was, learning about this all, oh, there's no females. Like this is gonna be so hard. But once you get there, I don't know why more women don't. Um, I guess just because over time it's just always been a male's work, kind of, that blue collar. But the work itself isn't hard at all. My days are almost pretty. easy for the most part. I mean, some of them are more tiring than others, but as a woman, I mean, the men probably treat me nicer than the other guys, so I get smiled at or hi, not all mad and oh, what'd you do that for or whatever. But I mean, really, they'll help you and they're probably more helpful to you because you're a female and they'll just help you along the way. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm after hearing your story, it sounds like part of maybe the reason that more girls or women don't go into these fields is just really lack of awareness, right? Because you really only even put your foot into a similar arena because your brother had done it, right?
Hmm.
What would you like schools to know about encouraging girls to do this kind of work? What would you like to see done at the high school level that maybe would have made a difference for you a little earlier?
Maybe just promoting it a little more. I always knew we had those type of classes because of my brother, and it's always on the list. But I kind of think our school, I don't know how to put this in a nice way, but the dumber kids or not as smart or those who don't like school, they did those classes. I was always kind of a more student like, more taking the hard classes, but you still can be a more student person and still do these classes that so-called the dumb people take. But really, I mean, you're not dumb if you take these classes, and I think it kind of has that stigma with it. You still need to be smart. I mean, there's a little bit of math, not hard or not much, but you're still moving your or working your brain, moving your body. And I think that's sometimes better than sitting staring at a screen all day where you just fries your brain. So
Yeah, I think you use a good word that there's a stigma that this kind of job or these kind of classes are for kids who aren't college oriented or something.
yeah, I
Um,
guess that's a better way to put it.
well, no, I think that's real. I mean, that's part of the reason that girls probably don't go into it, especially if parents are pushing them to go to college, or they think that college is the only way to have a family supporting wage. What would you like them to know about your wages and benefits to help kind of sway them?
So at the Wise, I started right off the bat with 2 weeks of vacation time. So I didn't have to work my way up. I start with 5 days, and then the next year, oh, you get an extra day. Woohoo. But so that is a really nice benefit, at least at the Wise. I can't promise every place is like that. But my wage, I started at about 16.54. And then because I worked so hard and I showed up, I already got a raise 3 months in, which is kind of rare, my team lead said, but you just got to show up and do your work. And he said that's why I was able to get one so early on. But it's if you do your work consistently, it's pretty easy to get a raise. I mean, may have started lower than what I kind of hoped to, but within a year or two, I'll be already at that point where I wanted to be, and I can just go up from there. And I don't have to do a certain amount of work and okay, you get a raise now. I can, just always just keep doing the work that I'm doing and just doing well, and then you get a raise. You don't have to meet a certain type of number or whatever.
Will you probably get raises as you start to learn these different skills with the robotic welds, for example, as you start to get more training? Do you think that's also maybe a automatic raise when you start kind of moving up the ladder and skill set?
Yes, you do. So depending on like your skill level, and the more I learn at the Wise and the more they train me and the more things I'm trained in and the levels or whatever I have under my name, then that like the higher raises I can get or more often because I have more training under my belt. If they need me to throw me over here for the day because this person's sick, then they can because I have that training and they're able to depend on me for that. So
That's great. I'm just wondering if if it would have made a difference to have women who were in the skilled trades come talk to your classes at school, or given the opportunity to go to an event where women who were in higher paying jobs that are traditionally men's jobs were there to put a face to some of these things. Do you think that would have made a difference?
I think it may have, just to see more women involved in that. Okay, there's actually women here doing work, and they're not just at the front desk at just being the receptionist or whatever. So just kind of getting the word out there and women showing their faces that, hey, this is what I do and I work here. So I do a skilled trade. You can too.
Yeah, I think that's such an important strategy as we look to encourage schools, to make sure girls are aware of these opportunities that pay more than some of the traditional female careers that are out there. There's many women in poverty, and if we can get women to at least, or young women to at least consider the skilled trades, they have just a better chance for a better life, right? Because you're already mentioning you have wages. Not only do you make a good starting wage, but you already have vacation time, and I imagine you have health care. Do you have dental, and are those kind of things you also have?
Those are also included, but I am still on my parents' insurance. So I don't have to, sign up for theirs or anything, but they do have all of that too. But I personally am not on that quite yet.
Right. So if you were a young person who didn't have a family to keep you on their insurance, it's amazing that at 19 you would be able to support yourself even in that
Hmm.
capacity, that you could have
Yeah.
your own benefits. I love that. What do other people think about you being a welder? What has been some reactions of other people?
Um, People are always shocked when I tell them. I used to say, "Oh, I'm going to be an astronaut," just to see their reactions, but now I tell people I'm a welder and they take like a second look, like, "Did I hear you right? What was that?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm a welder at Dwight's," and they're just super proud, I guess. My family is very proud of me and just, "Wow, you're this young and you're a welder, like you're so little." But it's great. At work, people are very surprised and they say I'm impressive, probably because I am a female, but you know, people are shocked, but they like it.
So if you had some young women who are watching this and they're like, "Wow, I never thought about this for myself to be a welder or be in the skilled trades," what kind of inside tips would you want them to have up front that maybe you learned later or didn't know until you actually got into school or work?
I'd say don't be nervous. I was nervous or like, oh, I'm a female, they're gonna treat me differently or look at me differently, but they don't. And if they do, that's on them. But there's really, don't be nervous about that. Just walk in like any other job and you'll do great. Just have that confidence. So, yeah.
Well, we hear that confidence in you. It's so fun to hear you being successful at 19 years old and getting into a job that makes people step back and say, "What?
Mhm.
What are you doing?" Um, so probably one of my final questions, Andrea, is really around kind of where you see yourself, like at Device. Do they have things that are like formal apprenticeships? Do you know what that word is? Is that something you've ever been exposed to, or that's when you get paid on the job to do more training? But it sounds like they're already doing that without a formal apprenticeship. So I guess I'm just wondering if there's any other training opportunities that you already see, like, oh, I'll learn that too.
Not so much at the Wise. I started out as the robotic operator. So if I did start at like a hand welder, I may have been interested in that. But because I did start there, then I'm already learning that. And so that's, I mean, about it. Otherwise, everything else at Dewey's is like a brake press where you're just forming the metal, bending it, or paint line where you're painting the metal, obviously. So there's just, I mean, there's other parts in Dewey's that you could honestly just walk in and they'll teach you everything. You don't need to go to school to, you know, form a piece of metal. And so that's really nice too. If you're, maybe not welding, but just the skilled trades and stuff like that, you can really just walk in. You don't need to have any college degrees or anything. So,
That's good for people to know that they can access some of what you've been doing by just applying and getting your foot in the door, and that the
mhm.
companies like Device will train you and to the
Yeah.
next level. And obviously your certificate opened a door for you. I mean, they recruited you right away, so that made it
Mhm.
much easier. But it sounds like it doesn't have to be that way to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll train you for everything. It was helpful that I did have the training, but even if I didn't, I mean, all the training they went over, I already went through that in through school. So I did go through the training faster, but I mean, it was all the same stuff. So,
So many
yeah.
companies have tuition reimbursement as part of a benefit. Have you heard that at Device? Like if you decided to go back and get a degree in engineering or something, Do they help pay for school?
Yes, they do that as well. It just, has to be around like what, like they'll, or if you can add to the company, then they'll, but like if I wanted to go get a nursing degree, then they probably wouldn't do that because it's not really benefiting them at all.
Sure. And I just wanted to ask that because it's just one of those benefits that you get when you're working full time using the skill sets that you have, that you can continue to grow your career on the dime of somebody else. You don't have to take that college debt on, right? And is that something you think about every day? Like, I don't have college debt.
I think about all the time. I always brag to my dad. I'm like, look, dad, you raised a daughter who's living on her own and has zero debt. And I'm proud of myself for that too. I have zero debt and probably won't till I buy a house. So,
Well, I'm proud of you too. I think it's fantastic. You've been such a great role model today, Andrea. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing your story with us and giving insights to other young people about the field of welding and just your experiences.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.